As a huge fan of Prajakta Koli, how could I not read this book? Hi everyone, I'm Archana and welcome to my channel Read with Archie, where we review books, we talk about book recommendations, and basically we just talk about books, and we also talk about journaling here and there, and maybe a few vlogs too. I take you on tours to bookstores and we explore amazing deals, and basically it's an interesting channel if you are into books. So today we're going to be talking about Too Good to Be True. For those of you who are familiar with Prajakta, I'm sure that most of you are fans of her work, and for those who don't know, I'll tell you a little bit about her. Okay, she has a YouTube channel called Mostly Sane. I've been a fan of her work from a very long time. Her comedic sense, her sense of humor, and her spontaneity, her confidence, her entire personality is such a joy. It is very hard not to fall in love with her. Okay, so I have been following her from a long time, and recently she starred in this Netflix series called Mismatch, where she plays the lead character along with Rohit Saraf. And then not just that, I'm sure you would have seen her in other Bollywood movies too as supporting characters. But yeah, basically she's this amazing person and I wanted to read her book. So I read this book, and I have a few thoughts about this book. We'll talk about the pros of this book, we'll talk about the cons of this book, and then I'll give my final thoughts on whether I recommend this book or what is my review rate and what is my rating on this book. So these are all the things that we'll be covering in the video. Okay, so first I'll give you the synopsis of whatever this book is about. Okay, so Avni is the lead character of this book. Avni is a law college student and she's working in a bookstore part-time. So Avni is really enjoying her work in a bookstore, and as book lovers, when you see that setting, right, as in like when you read about it, you picture it in your head, right? So it feels so good, like the whole bookstore vibe, and the scene is set in Mumbai, okay? And as an Indian, it feels good when she describes Mumbai and all that. And so she's working in a bookstore. Let's not get carried away right now. So she has friends there, Martin, Ria, etc. And so she's very close to Martin there, okay? And one day there is this handsome stranger who looks like he has just stepped out of the pages of a romance novel and walks into the bookstore. So Avni is really smitten by him, and that guy is just so charming. She's not able to take her eyes off him, but then she's also pretty awkward around him. Okay, so this handsome character, who is not fictional but very real in Avni's life, is called Aman Raina. So Aman Raina is the CEO of a textile business which was bequeathed to him by his parents. So Aman is very passionate about his business, and he has a small conversation with Avni, and Avni is kind of like really awkward about the whole thing. Okay, and then after that, slowly, like when they start meeting at bookstores, there is something that sparks between them. So now there is this hint of romance that is simmering just underneath their regular interactions, and Aman and Avni just go on exploring it further. Okay, but Avni is usually like stopped by her insecurities. She is not with her parents right now, and she just has a grandmother who is very close to her. What goes on with her parents is something we'll find out about in this book. But yeah, this is what happens in Avni's life. And she has this wall between her and her potential love life, because she is just kind of dragged down by insecurities, and I'm sure all of us have insecurities, okay? But it is just that, like, sometimes when we let the insecurities take the driving seat of our life, right, that is when these conflicts and problems arise, and that is exactly what happened to Avni. So Avni is kind of she's clouded by her insecurities, and Aman, who seems to be perfect, suddenly feels like, he's too good to be true for Avni. That's what Avni feels about him. So she's trying to find faults in him. So how this whole story pans out, will Avni get over her insecurities? Will she finally get to be with Aman? And what does Aman feel about this whole thing is what this entire plot is about. So now let's talk about the pros and cons of this book. Okay, should we talk about the pros first or cons first? I think it's always good to start with the good things first, right? Okay, so I'll tell you all the things I liked about this book. So the first thing that I loved about this book is that it is in an Indian setting, so it felt very relatable. So it's set in Mumbai. So all the Mumbai rains that she talks about in this book felt really very relatable to me, because as a Bangalorean, we kind of feel the same too about the first showers after a summer. And she also like gives these Karan Johar references when she says, "What in Karan Johar's cinematic universe is this?" So that's the title of one of the chapters. And another reference is that when she goes into a mansion, when she just sees a mansion, she says it looks like the mansion from Kabhi Kushi Kabhi Gum. So all these kind of like, it felt like a wave of nostalgia just hit me when I read these Karan Johars and Kabhi Kushi Kabhi Gum, etc. And also, like in a passing statement, somebody says like, they got pitchwai paintings as a gift for someone, and it felt like I felt so proud about my Indian culture, because, like, though it was mentioned in just one sentence, contrary to what I usually read, like Van Gogh's paintings or Frida Kahlo's paintings or Leonardo da Vinci's paintings. So it felt really good that, something that is so deep rooted in Indian culture was actually mentioned there. And when she calls her relatives as mummy, papa, kaka, etc., it felt so good. It felt like, I'm actually like, it felt at home. Okay, so these are the things I liked about the book. And in addition to that, I felt that the book is very beginner friendly, so anyone who reads the book, any beginner who reads the book, can easily understand that, because it's written in a very simple language. Another thing that I liked about this book is that the main character, that is Avni, seems like a very real person, okay, because she is great at a lot of things, but she also has her downsides, she also has her insecurities, and that made it very realistic for me. Okay, so I'm talking only about her character, I'm not talking about the plot or any of the other characters, but for me Avni felt very real. Okay, so now let's move on to the cons of the book. Okay, so cons of the storyline. So the thing is, whenever we read a story, right, we need peaks and pits to a story. It is like if a story just goes in a straight line, we're not going to be interested in reading that. It is going to feel like, it will feel very mundane, and you're not really going to enjoy, and there is nothing to actually hook you to a story, right? So I kind of felt that about this book, because the storyline fell flat, and it did not really feel like, there is something that is going to make me feel breathless, or that's going to make me cry a lot, like sobbing hard. I know I didn't want a book where I'm sobbing hard. It was a light-hearted read, but still, like, something that evokes feelings in me that, kind of ties me to this book. It did not feel that way, and I feel that the storyline could have been improved. Another thing that I felt is that the writing, it was simple, but the thing is, it could have also been improved in certain places. But still, as Prajakta as a debut writer, I still think she's done a good job. So for the writing, I would probably give it a 3 out of 5. And not just that, another thing that I felt about this book was that the main character, that is Aman, he really did feel too good to be true. Even when the situation demanded that he react in a very adverse way, or in a way that, that kind of makes you feel like he is just a human, I felt that he did not really react that way. So there is this one instance where she's really upset, and instead of kind of checking up on her to see how she's doing and all of that directly, I feel that he kind of did not really do that. It was like he was respecting her space. I didn't want to intrude on your space. I wanted to respect what you were going through. That did not feel very realistic at all. Another thing that just felt so unrealistic is that when they are staying like in a house, the thing is, they are staying in the same room, and their parents also share that house. Okay, and as Indian parents, we all know as Indians that it is very, very unlikely that something like that happens. Indian parents, they are always like, before you get married, why would you go and stay in the same house? I know that now things are different. Okay, I'm not questioning that at all. I know this could be some old school thinking, but it just felt very unlikely, because it did not really seem very, possible for something like that to happen. And though of course it can be possible, but it did not feel like, they would be so very welcoming, that they would be so welcoming in the very first instance, and they'll be like, it's okay beta, you stay with your girlfriend and all of that. It did not feel like, it did not feel realistic at all. Another thing that I did not really appreciate much in the book was that, I know we all love these tropes, right? Like, we all love a fictional character, but a fictional charming character to say. And Amin was kind of like, his handsomeness was described a lot. That's amazing. We do see that in a lot of books. But then, like, all the time it is like there is this waft of aftershave that she smells whenever he walks by. She immediately kind of senses that he is around. It's like the overuse of aftershave, like emphasis on the fragrance. It kind of felt like we are trying too hard to stick to the usual tropes that are very, like, that's really admired by the reading community, and that did not appeal to me too. So these are some of the things that I kind of did not like about the book much. And another thing to add to the list is that her friends, who were very supportive, no doubt, but their characters felt very one dimensional. I know that the story revolves around Avni and Aman, but still their characters felt a little unrealistic because they always knew the right thing to say at the right time. But in real life, friends are like 95% good, but at least those 5 times they screw up, right? I felt that this book did not have that. But overall, what I feel about the book is that read it only if you are a fan of Prajakta Koli. If you are looking for just a romance read, you don't know who Prajakta is, then it is not a romance read that I would recommend to my audience. But if you want to kind of read it because of Prajakta, then you should probably like check it out. But as a book reviewer, I don't think I would recommend this book to anybody because I felt that it is okayish and it is really not living up to my liking. I wouldn't even say okayish, it is kind of below okayish. So I would rate it a 2.5 stars out of 5. So let's just round it off to 3 stars. So let's say it is a 3 out of 5 stars. That is my rating for this book. So with this, we're done with the book review. I hope you liked watching my video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like my videos, please consider subscribing to my channel. Stay happy, stay blessed, and stay kind. Bye.